Okay, lovers of science, here we go. Today we're going to do a little electrolysis demonstration, doing the electrolysis of water. And what I've got here is I've got a large beaker of water that I've actually added a little bit of salt to. Let me just stir that up one last time. And the reason I've added salt to this water is that water by itself is not a very good conductor of electricity. So salt will dissolve in there and you'll have little positive sodium metal ions floating around. It will increase the conductivity of the water. And I'm going to use 2 art pencils as the cathode and anode because they are thicker than regular pencils. They have a thicker graphite core in there, so that should be a pretty good conductor. And I've got a 20-volt power supply. You could do this with 9 volts. You could use this with a 9-volt battery, but I had this lying around. And I want to try and capture the hydrogen gas. When the electricity runs through the water, it'll split the water molecules up into hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. And I want to try and capture that. So what I'm going to use is I have this to-go cup, and I punch 2 holes in it with a hole puncher, and that's where my pencils will go through. And then I'm going to try and capture the gas in this test tube by sticking it in the middle there. And I want to fill this up with gas. Now, the only problem with that is hydrogen and oxygen gas are invisible, so you have no idea of when they're filled up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this up with water and then try and upend it really quick into the cup so that there'll be a large amount of water in there. And then as the water level goes down, that'll tell me when it's full of gas. And hopefully this will work. Then when I pull it out, I'll test it with a burning splint. I've got a splint there and a little candle going. Isn't that pretty? My room will smell like coconut lime. Nice. Okay, so we're going to pour some water in here with the salt in it. Get a good amount. All right, and we're going to put our pencils in like this. So they'll go in the water. And we want to try and put some water in this. So let's do that. All right, a little more in there. And then what we'll do is we'll just turn this upside down and just set this through there like that. And then we'll try and do this very quickly. Do the old 1, 2, 3. There we go. And look, there's a good amount of water in there sticking out the top. So that'll be good to go. Pencils are in there. All right, now we're gonna plug in the power supply because the power supply always works better when it's plugged in. Little tricks I've learned in my time. And we're gonna hook on the positive one on my right here because it's closer. And then the negative one will come over here. This will be the cathode. And this side would be the anode. And I think the hydrogen comes off the anode side. So I'm gonna try and capture the gas from this side. So let's just push this down a little bit, hook this back on. All right, oh, doesn't want to stay on. Come on, get a good bite on there. All right, now let's turn the power supply on and hopefully we'll see some bubbles. Here we go. And let's see here, we got bubbles yet? Yep, you can see them coming up off the pencil there. And there's some coming off this side too. You can see them forming right on the graphite. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and hold this one over here. Maybe if I stick a calculator like that, try and just jam it over there. Try and wedge it into place so that this will capture the bubbles. If I move this down a little bit lower, maybe this up a little bit higher. Oh, look at that. I mean, I might have to just hold it here. As you can see, the bubbles are coming up into the test tube, and eventually this water level is going to drop down. And when it's at the bottom, that's when we'll be ready to pull it out. So let's come back when that's filled up with gas. All right, now we're back, and it looks like we are filled up with gas. All the water is out of the test tube. Man, there's a lot of graphite peeling off that from the electricity going through it. Let's turn the electric off and disconnect. We don't need the calculator to hold the pencil in place anymore. Let's remove that. Try and pull this pencil out. And I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the lid off. I'm just gonna put my thumb over it to keep the gas trapped in there. And we're gonna attach a test tube holder. So we're ready to try and flame test this. So I got my safety goggles on. Let's get a burning splint here, which we will light with the candle. Then what I'm gonna try and do, I'm gonna try and switch this around real quick and get the splint out there with the gas, and let's see what happens. How about that? Pretty sweet. So we just tested for that, and that was definitely hydrogen in there, probably some of the oxygen mixed in too. Let's blow our splint out and put that in our water. So we don't have to worry about it anymore. I hope you enjoyed that little demonstration of electrolysis, breaking the water down into its constituent parts, which is H2 and O2. Because remember, hydrogen and oxygen are both diatomic, so they always pair up, and hydrogen is flammable. So I hope you enjoyed that. Have a good rest of your day.